Let me show you one more resource on the web for teaching kids how to ask questions. I am now convinced of all the conversations I've had with educators around the world that teaching students to ask questions is one of the most powerful things any teacher can do. And that we seem to be out of balance in my country, more answers, not a lot of teaching questions. So the other great resource to go to if you want to follow up with learning on your own is this thing called the Right Question Institute, which looks like this. This is where I got the open-closed. So this resource, Dan Rothstein, another guy I know really, really well. In fact, Dan and I are doing this big summer conference together in Boston this year. He's the guy, the guru, on the open-closed. So if you like the open-closed process we did earlier, he has all kinds of resources for educators to understand how to teach kids to ask more questions. There's just too much to go through. I'll just give you the website, Right Question Institute. And then finally, if we're all good with all of this, maybe to wrap up, I'll show you. How many of you saw the, I don't want to do this if a lot of you saw this. I showed students who learn to create content to help other students learn. Shilpa Yalagada, how many of you saw this earlier? Maybe you'll see the part.
You know, when you're a student and it's like really like...
So I'm just going to tell you, I know this girl really well. School just wouldn't work for her. She's at Harvard today. But she had to build her own network of learning. And what she did is she got about 20, 30 friends together and they designed 2,000 tutorials across all the subjects they were taking and built their own website and put the tutorials in this website from kids, not from teachers, kids teaching kids. And it turns out that it's a very powerful idea. It goes along with story. The other powerful idea for understanding something is the story. So let me see if I can get to the part. Here we go. Maybe you'll remember. This is the part. This is very important.
Position is defined as an object's location in relation to a reference point, and that's usually labeled 0 if you're working in 1 dimension, or
Delta
working
X
in 2 dimensions.
is the lesson.
Now,
Boring.
Say there was this
So boring.
guy sitting in the movie theater, and I wanted to sit next to him because maybe we'd start up a conversation or something. I don't want to be too obvious. I don't want to sit 1 chair away, but maybe I'll sit 2 chairs away. And if I want to do that, I have 2 options. I can sit here, or I can sit here. These are both the same distance away from the boy, but they're at different locations in...
Okay, in the interest of time, the story of the cute guy in the movie theater is different than how a teacher would explain it. A first-time learner will often add a story to help another student their own age that a teacher would not think of, because the teacher knows too much. They don't worry about the story. So I'm fascinated when you look at these tutorials, how students come up with stories to explain things. Now, without question, if you created that tutorial and you had to put that together, you learned about delta X. You understand delta X because you had to think about, how am I going to teach this to other people? So that in itself has enormous power that we unleash an army of students in every teacher's classroom. If I go back and become a head teacher, I'm going to make sure that every teacher on the faculty is empowering students to create tutorials that go into a library to help other students learn. Now, the other students who watch this, it also can watch it over and over and over again. Rote stuff, not interesting stuff. You just have to understand delta X. But with this, at least, you can play the video over and over and over again. Because a lot of students won't ask their teachers for help.